Right, the whale magic continues. Now I'm down here closer to the whales with Elisa because we just saw a whale that was rolling in the kelp. Talk about kelping and what was going on.
Yes, when we were talking, people were yelling, "It's in the kelp. Is it a sea lion, a whale? What is it?" So what we have is a decent-sized gray whale that decided to come into the kelp bed and rest and play with the kelp a little bit. So that's a behavior called kelping. What this whale was doing was going under the kelp, putting up its head with the kelp draping across the head, and probably swimming through it and getting rubbed by the kelp. So we think it's sort of like a massage. They have these little 14-legged creatures, these whale lice, parasitic amphipods on their skin, and probably very itchy. And this might help scrape it off. Also, some of the whales, particularly juveniles, might take that as an opportunity to open up their mouth and pull their baleen, the structure like a brush that hangs from their upper jaw that's made of keratin, like your fingernails and hair. It's a filter. They'll pull that through the kelp and eat some of the animals that live off the kelp. And in fact, their favorite food, which are gomerid amphipods that live on the mud, there's actually a cousin of those that live on the kelp. So they might be going after that, or the little other shrimps and crabs and fish that are on the kelp.
Now, is it still kelping here?
Yeah. This year, too, and the water is colder than usual, and the kelp seems to really flourish in that real cold water. It can grow up to 2 feet a day, actually 3 feet a day off the Santa Barbara Channel where the world's kelp expert is.
So now we hear he's right by Whale Rock.
Yeah, it's getting really close to a rock that we refer to as Whale Rock because our visitors would come by and point at it and say, "There's the whale, there's the whale," when it's actually a rock that has water breaking off it, and it could be a little deceptive. So that's a big marker for us. Whales, oh, there he is, still in the kelp. The whale still is kelping. It does have kelp on its head, and it may roll around. Oh, there it goes again, head up high in the kelp. So this whale may take a little while to go around the bend here, and it'll continue on its way down to Baja. But I don't think it's in any big hurry. They travel about 5 to 7 miles per hour, generally on the southbound migration, closer to 7. This whale's going about a half knot, really slow.
Mm-hmm. Now you mentioned, I mean, you watch the whales here year after year, and you don't see this often, but yet if they like it so much, how come they don't do it more often?
Well, there's various places up and down the coast that might be a good place to stop and rest. Santa Barbara is an outstanding location where they tend to see, I'm getting distracted by this whale playing in the kelp, they tend to see the mothers and calves in particular on the northbound migration, stopping in the kelp beds and resting, sometimes for hours, sometimes stopping and nursing. Oh, yeah. I think his mouth was open just a little bit that time. So that was very cool. Some years we see it more than others. We typically see it more with juveniles than other whales too. It's hard to say, but it is a great spot for them to rest. Oh, the whale is like sticking up its head and throwing it all over the place.
This is spectacular. Now, if this whale, after this whale's done getting is a spa treatment here outside of PVIC in the kelp, what would you predict would be the pattern when by the time this whale will finish its journey to get down to Mexico?
Well, the whales generally take about 2.5 to 4 months to get to Mexico, a little faster on the southbound migration if it's an adult whale, if it's in a kind of a rush to either mate or give birth. If it's a smaller whale, this whale's not real small, but it may not be ready to mate or give birth, that they can take a lot longer time. They can go in the harbors and do some harbor tours. So if we're now at toward the beginning of January, I would say within the next probably 3 weeks or so, it'll probably be down in the further lagoons in Baja. They can travel up to 80 miles or 100 miles a day. They do travel day and night. They don't seem to slow down much at night. So the whales take about 5 days or so, 5 to 7 days to get from Monterey to here. Within a couple days, this one will be in Baja. And depending upon how far south it goes, it'll be joining up some other whales off of the west coast of Mexico.
And again, just to remind our viewers again, for the entire journey, Elisa, they start up way up north, and the travel time probably is how long for the whole trip?
For the whole trip, if they do start up in the Bering and Chukchi Seas up in Alaska, the trip will be, depending upon the speed of the whale, sometime between 2.5 and 4 months. And then they'll spend a few months down in Mexico and head back up. Mothers and calves will spend the longest time in Mexico because their calves are getting stronger, learning how to swim and spy hop and mess around in the mud and socialize. So we tend to see the peak of the southbound migration past here, usually the 3rd week of January, although this last year it peaked early. It peaked actually this week. We tend to see the peak of the northbound migration of whales that aren't cow-calf pairs around between the 1st and the 3rd week of March, and nice timing with whale of a day. But the calves don't come back up with their moms for 6 weeks later, so they take longer to get stronger. They have to be able to be a very good, strong swimmer because they do have to deal with the ordeal of and the gauntlet of perhaps going through orca territory, particularly in Santa Barbara Channel and Monterey, where orcas will patrol up and down canyon edges waiting for calves to go by.
You're down here to check out the whales?
We are. My sister's here from out of town. And we did spot one this morning already, but it was out quite a ways, so.
I was talking to you. You come down here and you walk daily. You're looking for the whales. Do you have any tricks in terms of trying to spot them yet?
Usually we bring our binoculars, but for the most part, just spot them and then put the binoculars up once you spot them. But that's pretty much it.
And what do you find so exciting about seeing the whales for you?
Well, coming from Michigan, I've never seen one before, so this is the first year I've spotted them. And it's just very exciting. I love the marine life and the different, the dolphins and the birds that are flying around all over. And
it's really gorgeous. And the Interpretive Center here, since you've just moved to the area, have you had a chance to go through and check it out?
Oh, yeah, and I love it. I love it. The even the little store area, the different items that they have in there are very cool.
Yeah, they have a great gift store. Yeah. So anyway, where are you off to now? You're going to keep walking around the grounds and look for more whales?
We are, and then I'm actually going to take her over to Abalone Cove. She's never been there, and so I thought that would be nice to take her down there.
Yeah, coming from Michigan, you must really appreciate the Rancho Palos Verdes coastline. It's stunning.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous, and there's just so much to see. I walk here every day, and I never see this. I never miss anything. There's always something different.
Yeah, Lisa, you and I have been jumping all over the place like the whales today. This is sort of like the whale jackpot out here, I feel like.
Oh, it's amazing. And this year in particular is our best count year, actually our best December than we've had in 28 years of counting. We are predicting that it's going to be a baby boom year. We're following 2 fantastic seasons in which the ice in the Arctic melted early, opened up the feeding areas for gray whales, their bottom feeders. They had long, extensive feeding time with lots and lots of food apparently last season and this season. And they're coming down early, which makes a lot of us think that it might be because they're in super great condition to either give birth or to mate. So our predictions are that this is going to be a baby boom year, probably one of the best in, well, maybe even over a decade or 2 decades.
You've been watching the whales for 2 decades. Talk a little bit more about your passion for doing this. And just like you mentioned that you're not here to count the whales worldwide, but just what you're seeing about the whale population in general.
Yeah, what we do here is we're a monitoring spot. We're getting a long-term database of what's happening and looking at trends. So since 1984, we've had a full-time whale watch station here, and we're the only full-time station there is in the whole world watching gray whales. And it's all based upon citizen science. So it's the average everyday person who comes by here, brings a pair of binoculars, and can help us spot and track the whales.
As we said, Lisa, you've been out here for many years checking out the whales. I want to know more about your passion for the whales, and does your whole family have this passion?
Well, actually, we do. My husband, Dave Janiger, he works at the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County, and he's the head of the Stranding program. He goes and after I've watched the whales, if anything happens to any of them, his job is to measure them, take samples, pick them up if they're small whales and dolphins, and to see what happened to them. He does necropsies or animal autopsies. In fact, we met on a dead blue whale a long time ago. So our family is very into whales. I've been interested in whales as long as I could remember, passion reading about them, watching TV shows on them, and have not lost any of that over the years. It's still real exciting for me.
As we wrap it up here, anything you want the community to know, how they can get more involved and become more interested in the whales?
Okay, it's really important that we keep this long-term project going. Like I said, it is unique. It's the only shore-based full-season gray whale project. And gray whales were taken off the endangered list in 1994 because their population had recovered from whaling. But then we lost about a third of them. We lost 10,000 gray whales around 1990 due to all sorts of ecosystem shifts and not enough food. So it's really important to keep a thumb on what's happening with the grays. Anyone can come and help us with our project. What we ask for is about a 3-hour allotment of time, any time from sunrise to sunset, any day during the week. It could be from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Wednesdays or Saturday afternoons. And that consistency is what keeps our project so important and gives it a lot of integrity. So it's the perfect example of citizen science in action.
And people can take action by checking out your website. You want to give that out before we say goodbye?
Sure. Our website is acs-la.org. and click on census. We're also on Facebook, so you can look for ACSLA, and I post the numbers every day and our counts. So you can go on and see how many whales we've been seeing with behavior details too. So like us, come and check us out, bring your binoculars, and let's have a whale of a time.
And we hope you enjoyed this edition of Around the Peninsula, and we hope you come down here to check out the whales. I'm Liz Brown Swanson. See you next time. Thanks for joining us.